Hi everyone, I'm here today to do Couch Confessions, and Couch Confessions is where I do therapy unscripted and I talk a little bit about my professional insights and my personal insights. And the reason why I do this is because I want to always show up authentically for you guys, and I really think one of the values of having like a Gen Xer on is, especially a professional Gen Xer, is that you get a little bit of my expertise in psychology, but also just my professional wisdom as a mom, a woman, a person who's been on this earth for a while. So here's what we're starting with today. We're going to talk about, I was sick. And yes, I have on my mismatched fuzzy socks because that's what I do when I'm comfortable. But today, what are we talking about? Me being sick, what I did when I was sick, two podcasts that I discovered while I was sick, Therapist and Hot Mess. Therapist is by Jake Shane. I believe his name is Jake Shane. I hope I'm not getting that wrong. If I am, blame it on the Gen Xer in me. Hot Mess by Alex Earl. Summer House we're going to talk about, because what did I do when I was sick? I caught up on fun podcasts. I caught up on TikTok because TikTok makes me laugh. And, or my algorithm, my TikTok, my For You page is just like silly stuff. And I love to laugh. And, what else? TikTok. Oh, Summer House. I want to talk a little bit about Summer House. So this thing that my daughter and I do, because my daughter doesn't live with me, but when we did live together, we watched Bravo shows together, or, different kind of shows. And she, so now that she doesn't live with me, part of what we do is we either FaceTime while we watch the same show together, or we text each other while we're watching the show. So that's what we did. Alex Earl, Hot Mess, Therapist, Jake Shane, and Summer House. That's what I'm going to talk about. But first I'm going to talk about being sick. Okay, so here's the thing. I really had a hard time being sick. And one of the reasons why I'm going to talk about that is because I always tell my clients, you need to give yourself grace. You need to slow down. You need to find the balance. And girl, I had a hard time doing that. I was like feeling so bad. I was trying to push through, and my self-talk was really bad. I was like doing some major like negative self-talk. I was like beating myself up. I was like, oh, you're lazy. You're not really sick. Like, this is my internal dialogue, right? I was saying all these things to myself. And like, if my clients did that, I'd be like, girl, don't do that. Like, we want to say, we want to change the story. We want to have I would have said all the things, but I was doing it to myself. So, and I really couldn't get out of bed, which I'm going to talk about in a second. But yeah, I had to change my story. I had to take a little bit of my own medicine there. And okay, what else did I want to say? Okay, emotional exhaustion. So I didn't have COVID. I didn't have the flu. I am convinced what I had was just emotional exhaustion. I saw this meme that said, check on your therapist friends to make sure they're okay. And it really resonated with me. And the reason why it did is because, for a living, therapists, we hold space for people. Like, that's what we do. And since the beginning of 2025, it has been stressor after like collectively, stressor after stressor, trauma, tragedy, from the New Orleans terrorist attack to the plane crashes to everything that's happening in our country and our government. And this isn't about a political view. This is just about our brains. Regardless of your political views, your brain feels more at peace and at rest when you can predict the future. Well, there has been several changes every day, like thing after thing after thing after thing, trauma, tragedy, like, it is a lot for anybody. I was saying to a colleague, like, I hope people really don't start crashing out, because the brain simply cannot sustain being in chronic fight or flight for too long. Like, it's unhealthy. It's chronic stress. Like, collectively, we are in a chronic stress, or might be in a chronic stress time. And so, and this happens with all change, whether it's good change or bad change. And so that's why I say again, and this is not about a political view, but also just watching the news and watching how much people are hurting is challenging. And so I'm an old head at this, like I'm a veteran, but I found myself still being like emotionally exhausted and having like some compassion fatigue. Like it's just a lot to carry all the time. And, you know, that's why I say to people, you got to unplug, you got to turn off the news, you got to, you know, turn off social media, like unplug, take care of yourself. But when you're a therapist, you really can't do that because it's your job to show up and show up for people. So I think that a lot of my, like I really was having flu-like symptoms, but I don't think I had the flu. And I really think that my body was just like, girl, you need to sit down and take care of yourself. And so that's what I did. Got myself a nice little vitamin IV, which is my go-to when I feel really sick. Makes me feel great. Okay, so that's enough about that. Let me see. Where's my paper? What else did I want to talk about? I'm staying hydrated. Forgive me. Excuse me. Two podcasts that I watched that I love. I watched this podcast called Therapist by Jake Shane. My daughter said to me, you need to watch this podcast. So I watched it and I loved it. And I'm going to tell you why I loved it. I love that this young man who runs this podcast, he's very popular. Like I think the podcast is blown up. He's doing like a nationwide tour now. I love that he's built this community of people who are not afraid to talk about mental illness. He comes out, he says that he suffers with anxiety. I think he talks a little bit about thinking he has OCD. And then he has this great segment at the end of his podcast where he invites people to call in and he's like, what's wrong with you? Let's talk about it. He's like, you know, everybody's collective best friend. But it's great because, again, you know, I'm all about building community and finding spaces that feel safe. And I really think he has built a safe space to talk about mental health openly. And to have people call in and, you know, like be everybody's best friend and like, you know, give his advice. And, you know, he's not reckless with it. One of the other things that I love is that he invites on people that, you know, are experts in their field or have wisdom of years. So the episode I watched, he invited Mel Robbins on, and, you know, she has this great book, Let Them, which is all about, you know, letting go of control and letting people do what they want to do. And they talk about that. And he actually is very honest and talks about how it's really hard for him to let things go, let people go, to let go of control. So I thought that was just a great, very timely thing to discuss. So I enjoyed that podcast. And then I watched Hot Mess with Alex Earl, which I loved. And part of why I love it is because I think she's just a girl's girl and like she's into all things girly, which I am too. My daughter said that, like, Mom, I don't know if you're going to like it because some of the, I guess, older episodes, she was really a party girl. But the newer episodes, she talks about kind of being a reformed party girl, which is, I like that. I think maybe not to the extent she was. Like, I haven't looked at her past stuff, but I definitely like a party. I've always been like the life of the party, the fun girl, the happy girl. Like, so I think I vibed with that a lot. And I really enjoyed listening to her talk about some of the challenges that she faced living that way and how she's kind of reformed her life to a more balanced space. And she talks a lot about how therapy helped her with that and her mom helped her with that. And yeah, I really enjoyed listening to her. And then I caught another podcast of hers where she talks about a new drink. And I guess that is the new entrepreneurial thing that a lot of millennials are doing. Because I know there was a big fight about this on Summer House. Excuse me, because I was watching that with my daughter. Sorry, I gotta stay hydrated, guys. The Summer House, there's a big fight about somebody who, I think Kyle started a drink, some kind of alcoholic beverage, and then somebody else, I don't know. But anyway, Alex Earl has her own drink, alcoholic beverage. It's called Sips Sips Marg or Sips Margarita or something like that. But, you know, I really enjoyed listening to her talk about her entrepreneurial spirit and wanting to invest in this drink. And I don't know. I just think it's fun. I love listening to, and she had Bethany Frankel on, and who is like the queen of alcoholic beverages with her Skinny Girl Margarita. And I'm going to talk about that probably in my next Couch Confessions, about listening to Bethany Frankel talk about dating, because that was fun. And I resonated with a lot of what she said. These glasses, you know, a lot of people ask me, or they think, my clients are like, oh my God, I love your glasses. They're so trendy. If you know me, you know that I am a biohacking guru. And these glasses are actually my recovery glasses. That's why I'm wearing them, not to be cool, but I'm glad they look cool. So I'm told they look cool. Yeah, so these are my recovery glasses. They're actually blue light blocking glasses, but for recovery, to kind of help me rest, because as soon as I get off of here, I'm taking some medicine, some more vitamin C, and going back to bed. Anyway, so what else? Oh, one of the highlights of my rest and recovery period was watching, oh God, what is it called? Southern Charm with my daughter. Okay, can we just talk about Southern Charm for a second? It was so refreshing, and like, maybe I should not be saying this, but it was very refreshing watching Shep get his heart broken. And I shouldn't be, I'm not celebrating heartbreak, although I don't think heartbreak is bad. I think heartbreak pivots us into a greater form of ourselves and our lives and whatever. I'll talk about that later. But it was very refreshing watching Shep, who is like this eternal playboy who has broken so many people's hearts. It was very refreshing watching this young woman, a beautiful young woman of color, might I add, break his heart or make him think about things, get him in his feelings a little bit. It was very nice watching Shep on the other side of heartbreak. I don't know. Tell me what you thought. I hope that doesn't sound insensitive, but everybody meets that one person who brings them to their knees and makes them get more connected to their heart. And watching it play out for Shep was the highlight of my rest and recovery. Let's see, what else? You know, guys, I think that's it for Couch Confessions this week. I am at the tail end of my rest and recovery, and looking forward to getting back into seeing my clients this week. I really missed them. You know, it's funny. I tried to push and go back to sessions yesterday, and one of my clients literally gave me the advice I give to her and probably the rest of my clients. My assistant reached out and was like, okay, she'll be on, you know, tomorrow, which was Saturday. And my client said, tell her she needs to rest. And I'll see her next week, which I thought was so beautiful and lovely, because it really speaks to the connection I have, that I'm fortunate enough to have with my clients, that they know that I really care about them and they really care about me. So that was kind of nice to hear that, and sweet. Yeah. So just to go full circle here, we talked a little bit about rest and recovery. We talked a little bit about what's going on in the world and chronic stress. Want to go back to saying, if you are feeling really stressed out, like the weight of the world is on you, reach out for help. Please reach out for help. There's so many places where people can find help. There are links in the description here if you want to work with me on ways that you can work with me in different ways. It might not even be therapy. It might be coaching. It might be I'm doing free consultations for people. So, you know, reach out, find community, find people, like find your circle, be with those people. I think collectively we're all going through changes and hard times, and, you know, some things are harder for others. You know, people are in different spaces, but the one thing we have in common is we're human beings and we need each other. We need community. So don't isolate. Don't be alone. Reach out for help. Rest and recovery. Those are the gems for this week's Couch Confessions. All right. Bye, guys.